All right, so are you looking for your first ultra zoom lens and honestly feeling kind of overwhelmed? There's a lot of options out there and they're not necessarily cheap, so you don't want to pick the wrong one right off the bat. But, maybe I can help you out with that. Today I have two fantastic lenses from Sigma. This is the 6600 optical zoom Sigma lens, which is an absolute beast. And this one's the more traditional 150-600 zoom lens. They're honestly both fantastic lenses, but which lens is right for you? Well, hopefully I can help you out with that. But first, let's take a look at some of the technical specs of both of these. The most noticeable difference that you see between the 150-600 and the 6600 is obviously the optical zoom. So in the category of optical zoom, the 6600 is obviously just going to win. The other notable difference, and something that honestly the 150-600 wins in, is the tension lock for when you're zooming in and out. On the 6600, you can only lock it in place, while the 150-600 actually has a tension lock where you can either have it lock in place, be very loose, so it's easy to zoom in and out, or be nice and tight, so it's just a little bit tighter, and this is kind of what I kept it in. And after that, everything's quite a bit similar. They both have a manual switch, and the manual ring on both of these lenses are nice and smooth. Both have several custom buttons that you can configure. They both have a stabilization switch, which has multiple options, where you're going to be able to adjust to whether you're handheld or panning on a tripod. And perhaps my favorite thing about this lens is not really the lens at all, it's this mount that the lens comes on. Having it mounted on a tripod and being able to easily change the orientation between landscape and portrait just is such a great feature. And honestly, that convenience makes it one of my favorite things about these lenses. So taking a look at the build quality and the size, the 6600 comes in at 2,500 grams and the 150-600 comes in around 2,100 grams. So this one's considerably lighter, and I do feel that when I've been out testing both of these guys. As far as size concerned, honestly, they're pretty similar. If you can tell, the 6600 is slightly bigger, but it's not much bigger as far as like how much space does it take up. Build quality on both of these lenses, they feel nice and durable. The zoom lens on both of the lenses feels very nice and smooth, very solid. It doesn't feel like cheap material whatsoever. All in all, they're quite nice to handle with. Anyways, images are king and that's what matters the most. So let's go ahead and take a look at the image quality from the 150-600 first. So I got to really dive in and test this lens for about a month, and I mainly use it for birding photography. And honestly, I have to say, knowing that this is only like $1,100 used on eBay, this lens honestly just brings such great value to the wildlife photography game. I was quite pleased with all the images that I took. Granted, there is quite a bit of a learning curve if you're first getting into wildlife photography, especially birds, because they're always fluttering about and you have to be quick on focus pulls, because autofocus wasn't quite fast enough for what I was doing, and maybe the bird was just a little bit too small for my camera sensor to pick it up properly. But the more and more I use it, I realize if I just put it on a tripod, don't tighten up anything so I can move my camera like I am holding it handheld, I felt like it was pretty easy to pull focus correctly manually, even when the bird was moving. I also had the opportunity to take some video with this lens. Here's a clip of a great blue heron picking up a stick. I assume it's taking it to their nest. I thought that was a pretty cool shot. It's actually probably one of my favorite shots I've ever gotten with any wildlife photography. So all that was from the 150-600. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the image quality from this massive 6600 10x optical zoom. So with the 6600 lens, I did like this lens, but not as much as the 150-600. There's a couple points I have here. First and foremost, it's quite a bit more expensive. It's $2,000 new, and I don't necessarily think there's enough bells and whistles in addition to the 150-600 to justify that price, if I'm being completely honest. I say that in the mindset of this being used for wildlife photography. I can see a 6600, that optical zoom range, being very vital in sports photography, but for wildlife photography, I don't really see a use case for it. The image quality, as far as from what I can see for both photography and videography, is the same as the 150-600. I couldn't really tell a difference personally. This lens is also heavier, so handheld with this lens was also harder. I tried to do some handheld without a tripod, and that only lasted a few minutes. So if you're not using a tripod with this lens, you're probably gonna be pretty sore at the end of the day. But that being said, it's still a great lens to work with. I did really like using it, and the images and video that came out of it were fantastic. Both of these lenses from Sigma are honestly kings in their own right. The Sigma 6600, I feel like, is probably a little bit geared more towards sports photography. Because when I'm doing wildlife photography, I very rarely find myself needing anything closer than 150 millimeters. But the 60 to 150 range in a sports photography scenario, I think would really make this lens stand out in that type of photography. The autofocus is a little bit faster than this lens, but all in all, not too much faster, and definitely not for the price difference between the both of them. So if you're solely going for wildlife photography or birding photography, I would definitely consider this lens over that lens, because you're gonna end up saving around $700 if you buy both of them new. Both of them have quite amazing image quality, and 10x optical zoom is a nice feature. So if that's something you're interested in, this might be for you. But like I said, wildlife, birding photography, anything like that, you're not gonna need much more than this 150-600. And for me, and personally what I like to shoot, this 150-600 is the winner for me. Anyways, guys, I have full videos on each of these lenses. I'll leave a link down in the description about them. Please check them out if you want more details on either of these. Over the past few weeks and weeks preceding this video, I will be releasing quite a few shorts with image tests from both of these lenses. So if you need more information, check out those shorts. They might be what swings you one way or the other. I hope this video helped you out. If you have any questions regarding any of these lenses or any lenses or camera stuff at all, please let me know down in the comments, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hope you liked this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.